In this part, we will talk about the additional reports that you can submit to the customer after the site survey. Now, it's a usual practice that the individual or the company that is hired to do a site survey is also hired after that to do the deployment and the installation part. So, if that is the case, then these reports that I'm going to discuss about will make much more sense to you. The first thing that you can submit to the customer is the vendor recommendation. Simply means that in this, what you will do is the the vendor that is supplying the products to the customer for actual deployment, in the site survey we need to use the same AP to perform the coverage analysis. We cannot use the AP of Aruba if the deployment is actually is of Cisco. So if the deployment is of Cisco, then survey should be done with the same Cisco AP, because the vendors radio cards, the AP radio cards, they have their proprietary RSSI value thresholds. RSSI value threshold. So keep that in mind and always use the same vendor product while doing a survey. The next thing that you can share with them is the implementation design or implementation diagram. In the implementation diagram, we basically have to give them a topology diagram, not just the Wi-Fi one, but the wired one as well, so that they understand that we understand their entire network. In this, you can also talk about tell them about the AP placements, AP connection to switches, okay. You can talk about the existing wired infrastructure, you can talk about this. You can also tell them about the VLANs, how many VLANs need to be defined, how many, what will be the layer 3 boundary. So these things are very handy when you talk about the implementation diagram or a network diagram or a topology diagram with them. The next thing which you should spend more time on is the bill of material, also known as the BOM. So this becomes important, and this is basically to itemize every hardware and software component necessary for this particular network. So every hardware and software component, talk about the cost of it, talk about the duration of the services that you're buying, duration of services like the number of years. Some vendors sell it for 2 years, some vendors sell it for 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, depending on the vendor. And of course, since you'll be managing the show with them, you'll have to talk about the cost of that as well, right? The bill of material is a sensitive topic for every customer because it contains the cost. So spend good enough time on this and make sure this is done absolutely right. The next thing that you want to talk about is the project schedule and cost. Okay, now in project schedule, you will talk about the start date and the end date, the tentative end date. You also want to keep some buffer. Let's say a two weeks buffer should be enough. The customers usually can deviate by a couple of weeks, but not beyond that. They'll probably put some clause which will also deduct your money when the handoff date is delayed by a specific amount of specific date. So yeah, so you have to submit that in 2 months or 3 months or whatever time frame you set. If you go beyond that, the money will be deducted. Also talk about the cost of the labor, the cost of labor, implementation. Discuss that in detail. Usually what I would do is when I define a project schedule, I also set up bi-weekly meetings with them. So set up bi-weekly meetings or a monthly meeting or a weekly meeting depending on how critical the network is. Bi-weekly meeting with the customer so that you give them an update around as to what's going on every second week. That's going to keep them posted, keep them updated, and that's actually a very good practice. Okay, so the next thing that you can provide to them would be the wireless security recommendations or wireless solution, or I would say wireless security solutions recommendation, security solutions recommendation. See, in this, basically you've got to give them some comprehensive security recommendations around authentication. Let me just write that down. Extensive security recommendations around authentication, okay, authorization, and accounting, right? So they need to know how their security should look like, since you will be the expert on the ground. So they'll look up to you for some suggestions and some recommendations. Talk about encryption with them. What is the recommendation? Talk about segmentation with them on the Wi-Fi side, how segmentation needs to be done, whether it's SSID based, VLAN based, or any other segmentation. So this needs to be given to them in a detailed report, letting them know that okay, this is how the security should look like. And if they're okay to go with you, good enough. But if not, then at least this is your job to give them a good security recommendation so that they can keep that handy. The next thing, and this is mostly overlooked by almost everybody that I've met, is the training part. Once the site survey is finished, once the deployment happens, once everything is finished, the network is about to go live, you need to sit with their IT team. Sit with their IT team. Spend a couple of days with them. Walk them through everything that you have done, the deployment, the implementation, the configuration. Talk about deployment. Train their team on deployment. Train their team on implementation. Train their team on configuration. If it's a CLI based managed wireless network, teach them, train them on CLI. Or if it's a GUI based Wi-Fi system, train them on how to run the GUI. This is going to go a long way for you. This is going to give you brownie points, because a lot of wireless site survey companies or individuals, they miss out on this. They do not train the customer. So and that actually leaves that is not really going to fly well, because their IT team eventually has to manage the network or has to run the show, right? So or if possible, what I would do is I would schedule regular trainings with the customer team, or just a doubt clearing session after every month or every quarter. Just have something like that going till your project completes, till your project is fully executed, and this is going to win you some great and very 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 big brownie points. So hopefully you can remember these things, and for every project that you complete, I highly recommend you submit at least 80% of what we talked about, and I think you should be good with that. uh, yeah, so this is about this chapter. I don't think I've missed out on anything.